You are listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. They are obsessed with Trump's tweets. They are obsessed with the Russia story. Well, what else are they going to do? Talk about how they have an economic plan, or how their Obamacare ideas were good? Or how the country got more powerful and more influential over 8 years of Barack Obama? I mean, this is all they're going to do. I mean, and I'm talking about the media, Jake Tapper, Mika Brzezinski, hyperventilating about conspiracy theories. And these comments have been echoed by others in the media. CNN's Brian Stetler, who, is one of the more vocal of the Trump detractors at CNN. He was opining yesterday, the day before, in one of his appearances, about how Trump was led along by the nose by talk radio or Breitbart or et cetera, et cetera. And Mark Levin actually wrote a really good, it's like an open letter to Brian Stetler. And he said, your ad hominem attacks about right-wing radio hosts and conspiracy theory stuff, incredible. I simply put together the stories that your profession reported on the public record. Do you deny that there were 2 FISA applications? That's the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act application to the federal judges who oversee the FISA statute. This is, again, what we talked about yesterday, that there were two applications made to surveil Trump associates, okay? And he said, do you deny that the first one was turned down? That was last summer, I believe. Do you deny the second one was approved? It's called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. It's all about surveillance. The fact that we cannot discern all the details because of the secrecy, except for what the media have revealed and selective leaks by the government, should cause you to want to know more, not to trash those who point it out. And yes, we can make several logical implications based on events and experience. And Levin had a great appearance on Hannity last night where he went into this. A FISA application is a big deal. 1 or 2 in this case that involve campaign surrogates or a server or computer related to a candidate or campaign, etc., is a big deal. President Obama's statement is not a definitive statement of anything other than that he personally did not order a wiretap, which Levin says he never claimed. But that doesn't mean he was unaware of the surveillance activity by several of his departments. So for those of you who missed this show yesterday, I went into a lot of detail about this, that the denials by the administration through, its various former surrogates, they were very narrow. The president did not order the Trump campaign to be wiretapped. Well, okay, you can quibble with Trump's wording of his tweet. However, the Obama administration was surveilling Trump associates, which has been reported in the New York Times. I read the piece yesterday. And in fact, by the way, Robbie Mook, Hillary's old, campaign hack, he really reminds me of Eddie Haskell from the old Leave It to Beaver, and as smug and annoying as Eddie Haskell as well. Let's listen.
The facts are that Trump aides were caught talking to Russian agents, and those conversations were captured because the intelligence community regularly taps the phone lines of those Russian agents. So I think it's important to start
wait a minute,
there.
You say there was a wiretap? You say there was a wiretap?
That there was a wiretap of Russian agents, and that those Russian agents were communicating with Trump staff. That's why they were picked up. That's
How do you know that?
Intelligence community. That's what the intelligence community has told us. That's what's
Told
been
Hillary?
reported very widely. Those are the facts.
Told us. Who's us? The intelligence agencies didn't talk about this. This was all done through leaks. Go back to the January New York Times story. This is all done through leaking, selective leaking. But you see how they jumped on that on Fox and Friends? It was right before I went on today. It was a great get by them. So what? Who's more accurate here? That nothing happened? There was no surveillance of the Trump team, or that the federal government during an election that was hotly contested between Hillary and Donald Trump, that the outgoing administration of the same party of Hillary Clinton ordered surveillance of Trump associates? What's more accurate? I say Trump's more accurate than all these media people who say there's nothing here at all. So if Roger Stone or Carter Page or any of these other guys, Manafort, who still talk to Trump, if they were talking to the campaign or the transition, and they had talked in the past to a, quote, Russian agent, whatever that means, anyone ever lived and traveled to Russia probably, then they were never surveilled at Trump Tower? I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. That's just my gut. We'll find out more. But I love the fact that the Democrats and their enablers in the media, they're, number one, not concerned at all about leaks. And number two, they're not concerned about what could have been political monitoring and surveillance. And they're not asking more questions. Levin continued on this. And he said, and I'll just get back to where I was reading here because it's important. So we can make several logical assumptions. One or two in this case, the FISA warrants, FISA monitoring, that involve campaign surrogates or a server or a computer related to a candidate or campaign. That is a big deal. President Obama's statement, as I said, is not a definitive statement of anything other than he personally didn't order the surveillance of, by several of his departments, even though routine reports to the president, such as the daily intel briefing, are information conveyed to him or his staff via the DOJ, the FBI, counter-surveillance activities. As for Clapper, despite his past dissembling before Congress, he may not even have been aware of what was taking place, since the FBI's counter-intel operation reportedly sought the warrant. The daily intel briefing might provide useful information in that regard as well. Of course, the release of FISA applications would also shed a lot of light on events, assuming that you believe reports that they were filed. He's saying this to CNN. So if you don't believe they were fired, where are CNN executives filing FOIA requests? Are they filing FOIA requests here? The Freedom of Information Act requests so we get this information? Or do they just want to use this to beat Donald Trump every day so you don't have to cover the booming economy? Or you don't have to cover the fact that most people think we should have a pause in this immigration into the United States from certain countries. Clapper has said as recently as yesterday that no connections between the Russians and the Trump campaign had been found. And it goes on and on. Your lack of curiosity and dishonesty about such matters and in dealing with him personally demean you and your profession. You're free to circulate this communication to whomever you wish, as I'm making it public. Good for him. Again, I think it's time that more people cover the press. Report on the press. Check the press. Not with the little PolitiFact fact-checking, but I mean really cover the press. It's not to intimidate them, but keeping everybody honest here. I said 2 days ago that if I were Trump, I wouldn't have tweeted that thing Saturday. I just wouldn't have done it. If you really believe that, you have information that indicates that, hold that information. And when you can relieve other, release other information at the right time to the public, you can do it all. But right now, he needs to focus on Obamacare, making sure this repeal is done the right way, and that's really a repeal, not just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, the immigration issue, tax reform, and all the rest. I've said that. At the same time, I know, given what we've known about what these Obama people have done and their dirty politics, Alinsky style, I have no doubt that Trump associates caught up in these FISA surveillance that was going on could have absolutely reached Trump Tower. I have no doubt about that, just knowing who these people are. But would I have tweeted about it? No, I wouldn't have tweeted about it. I think it's just, right now, it's a distraction. 855-40-LAURA. We'll get to more on this. The Democrats, again, they want to stay on this as long as possible, but we've got to move on to this immigration executive order. and also even entertainers are having to apologize for their misogynistic comments in the name of comedy. That happened yesterday, and a lot more. 855-40-LAURA.